Revelation 10 is a short chapter which is almost purely dogmatic. There are only two characters in this entire chapter that seem to be of importance. First, there's the author, and second, there's an angel that stands on the land and sea. Then I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven. He was robed in a cloud with a rainbow over his head. His face was like the sun, and his legs were like fiery pillars. Now I was hoping, quite frankly, that Halley's Comet would show up in the book of Revelation, and the angel, with the face like the sun and legs with fiery pillars, seems to be a fairly decent description of a comet. Unfortunately, the rainbow and the cloud mean that we might have a bolt of lightning instead. He was holding a little scroll which lay open in his hand. He planted his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land, and he gave a loud shout like the roar of a lion. When he spoke, the voices of the seven thunders spoke. And when the seven thunders spoke, I was about to write, but I heard a voice from heaven say, "Seal up what the seven thunders have said, and do not write it down." Again, this doesn't sound like a comet at all. Comets simply don't make a sound, and the seven thunders is probably a reference to the voice of the seven angels of the seven churches, which are mentioned in chapters 2 and 3. At this point, because the author doesn't give more information, I'm simply going to skip to the end. I took the little scroll from the angel's hand and ate it. It tasted as sweet as honey in my mouth, but when I had eaten it, my stomach turned sour. Then I was told, "You must prophesy again about many peoples, nations, languages, and kings." This is a reference to the Old Testament book Ezekiel. The author is given a commission, essentially, to continue prophesying, and though it doesn't make much sense now, it'll make slightly more sense as this book goes along. Now, on Halley's Comet, I wanted to mention two things. First, several Roman historians mention this comet. However, none of them seem to have a grasp of when exactly it occurred. Estimates from these authors seem to range from 64 CE to 69 CE, and there are some historians that claim that there were actually two comets. I think it's a bit more likely that because these authors are using second-hand accounts, that a single comet eventually became two comets. And in regards to the Revelation author, he could very well be describing this comet, but masking it with a lightning bolt. Comets are cool, but not particularly interesting in a dogmatic sense. If this is the case, I may not be able to get a simple astronomical reference that I'd hoped for. When compared to the following chapter, the author seems to be placing this event no later than 66 or 67 CE. Revelation 10 is a lightning bolt, and possibly even Halley's Comet. It's the commissioning of further prophecy and almost purely dogmatic. If it is the comet, this comes in 66 CE, the first year of the Jewish-Roman War. However, because the author is vague and dogmatic, I simply have to leave it at lightning bolt and move on to the next chapter.